Well, hello everybody, and welcome along to this webinar on postgraduate study at the Auckland Bioengineering Institute. My name is Mark True. I am a research academic at the ABI, and today I'm joined by Dr. Vinod Suresh, who is an academic with both the ABI and also the Department of Engineering Science and Bioengineering, which is based in the School of Engineering here at the University of Auckland. Also joined by Mathilde, who is a second-year PhD student here at the ABI. We're just really looking forward to spending some time sharing with you about postgraduate study here and some of the things you might expect if you were to join us. The Auckland Bioengineering Institute is a diverse global research community based out of the city of Auckland in New Zealand. It's a melting pot of a great number of nationalities and disciplines. We have more than 300 staff and students who come from approximately 40 different countries, and we think that this fosters a really creative environment. And even for those who don't necessarily hail from other countries, we still get lots of opportunities to spend time around the world, and so we are very aware of different cultures and different backgrounds. We'd love to know where you're from, and so please do let us know in the chat. And you can use the chat to ask any questions you'd like as we go along, if there's anything you'd like clarified or any more information you would like to know. The ABI is an internationally respected academic institute in the University of Auckland. And we were established in 2001, so we have a really significant history in biomedical and bioengineering research. Our aim is to better understand, diagnose, and treat medical conditions, and along with that, to provide help for people who are living with disability or injury. We have about 20 different research groups working in a whole diverse range of areas, including science and clinical studies, implantable medical devices, biosensors and augmented reality, data science, artificial intelligence and software, imaging technologies and analysis, biophysical models and digital twins, computational physiology, and biotech and animal health. So there's a lot of things going on. And Mathilde, I wonder if, as a student, how do you keep track of everything that happens in the ABI and finding out who does what?
Yeah, it's not always easy. There is a lot going on. We have the opportunity to kind of meet the other group and other researchers through, well, just some break around the institute, and we also have seminar. And yeah, almost weekly, where each group come and present their work, so we can kind of we know what's happening around, and it's very nice, and it's not easy, but definitely possible.
Thank you. And every year we have a research forum, which is a great opportunity for all the different students and researchers to spend time looking in detail at each other's projects and finding out everything that's going on. Now, the ABI encourages qualified graduates to study with us. I'm going to ask Vinod to just take us through the pathways to postgraduate study here at the ABI.
Thanks, Mark. So at the ABI, we offer both master's and PhD degrees. So I'll talk about the master's first, and then I'll move on to the PhD. So the master's degree is either 12 or 18 months long. We have two options. The start dates for the masters are with the beginning of each semester. So for 2025, you can start your master's study on March 3rd or July 21st, or there is a late year start on December 10th. So three options for starting the master's. To qualify for the master's degree, you need to have at least a 3-year undergraduate degree in one of the STEM subjects with a minimum GPE of 5, which is a B average. Most of our students who come into the master's students have some level of research experience in their undergraduate degree. So where they would have completed a research project or some other research component. So next we'll move on to the PhD degree. So to qualify for entry into the PhD, you will need to have either a 4-year undergraduate degree in the STEM subject or a 3-year undergraduate plus a master's degree. With either of these degrees, you need to have a significant research component as part of your undergraduate study. And the minimum entry GPE for the PhD is 6 or a B+ average. The start dates for the PhD are flexible in the sense that you can start on the 1st of each month of the year. So you can feel free to apply to the PhD degree at any time, and you can start at the beginning of a month. The PhD is typically a 3-year degree in bioengineering. And through this process, you will learn a lot of technical skills in your chosen field of study. And you will also gain experience in becoming an independent scientist who is able to evaluate and create their own research in fields that have real-world impact.
Now, not everybody has that research component. They've got everything else in place, eligible for PhD, but they don't have that significant research component. We're really excited to announce a new pathway to account for that. This is our new postgraduate certificate in bioengineering. So if you find yourself asking that question, do I have significant prior research? And the answer is no, then you may be eligible for the postgraduate certificate in bioengineering. This 6-month program covers some topics, 2 papers. One of those is the physics of physiology. Then there is the bioinstrumentation toolbox. And on top of that, you do a bioengineering research project, which allows you to be eligible for acceptance straight into the PhD program. You have to maintain a grade point average of 6 or a B+ average in order to go straight into the PhD program. Now, this is by invitation only, which means that you apply for a PhD as regular, and if the School of Graduate Studies deems that you might be eligible for the postgraduate certificate in bioengineering, then they will contact the ABI, and the ABI will examine that, and if you are eligible, invite you to consider doing the postgraduate certificate in bioengineering. The starting dates for the postgraduate certificate are March of each year, and this enables you to then, all going well, to start the PhD itself either on the 1st of August or the 1st of September of that calendar year. I think we're just going to have some of that information coming up on the screen so that you can see the papers that you do, the grade point average requirements. And just a reminder, this is by invitation only, so please do go ahead and apply for the PhD, and then you can be evaluated as to whether or not this might be the best pathway for you. Now, studying at the ABI is a rewarding experience. You get to work with like-minded colleagues, and you're supervised by research academics. And, you know, one of the things that I really like about supervising postgraduate students is just having the opportunity to motivate them in the projects they do in terms of the impacts and how those projects can really, you know, help people, help deepen our understanding. I wonder, Vinod, what do you appreciate when it comes to supervising postgraduate students?
Well, we have students from very diverse backgrounds and with a lot of different kinds of prior experience. So what I really enjoyed is some of the cross-fertilization that goes on. Because students come in with a completely new perspective, which can help solve some really difficult problems. And this makes for, you know, a very stimulating intellectual environment where you have people sharing different perspectives, different pots of knowledge, and helping solve some really complex problems.
Absolutely, and you know, to make that happen requires a supportive, collaborative, collegial environment. Right from the beginning of the ABI, this has been one of our goals, is to have this research environment, which is unique, I believe, around the world, and where we actually work together in many different ways to support each other. You know, you're also going to graduate with a world-class degree from a top university, which is something that you want to keep in mind. You're going to be inspired by innovative research with health and medical science applications. So there's always an endpoint, which is about translating research into real applications. You're going to get to present research both here in New Zealand and around the world, which is a great opportunity. You're also going to enjoy the diverse science, technology, engineering, and mathematic backgrounds of your colleagues and build on their prior experience. And one thing that I really enjoy is being able to listen and talk to world-renowned experts who visit us here at the ABI. Matilda, I know you've only been here for a year and a half to 2 years so far, but what are some of the experts or people that you've really appreciated meeting and learning from in your time here at the ABI?
Yeah, well, so there are quite a lot. So I was mentioning earlier the seminar we have on well, most of the time on Tuesday, and so in this seminar we get to meet some experts in different fields. But we also have, let's say, more specific visits. For example, I'm working in heart mechanics, and we did have some visits from Alistair Young, for example, who is from London. He came to visit us, and he actually stayed in the group for a few weeks, and we got to like solve a lot of problems we were kind of stuck on because he brought his expertise to us. And we also have some collaboration going on with Chicago and New York, where yeah, like just this, it's very very enriching.
Yeah, well, that's great, and that feeds back into what you were saying, about cross-fertilization of ideas. And so, Matilda, you obviously, you just said you're working in cardiac research. You want to tell us a little bit about your PhD story, what brought you to Auckland, and how it's all going?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a second-year PhD student here at the ABI, and I'm part of two research groups, so the Heart Mechanic Research Group and the Clinical Translational Technologies Group. So very briefly, I'm working on heart failure prognosis, looking at new biomarker using imaging analysis and computer modeling. I decided to come to apply to the ABI. I knew that I wanted to do a PhD in bioengineering, and I also knew that the University of Auckland and the ABI were like top-ranked university and institute. So I decided to apply, contacted a supervisor, and then just like the process started. And eventually, I moved to New Zealand last year. So that's how I decided to come here. And now, since I'm here, I have a close supervision from my supervisors. Like every week we will meet. I also work with my colleagues or other students. So we have other PhD students, master students, research fellow, postdoc in the group. So we kind of if you have a question, because I think we mentioned earlier, there is this different background, we can just help each other, which is great. We also have some social activities, and the ABI actually organized quite a few social get together, which is quite nice, especially when you come from somewhere else. You get to meet new people. One that I really like, for example, is a Christmas party that is coming soon. Yeah, I think that's about it.
So I wonder, what is one thing you wish you'd known before you came to Auckland?
In terms of the ABI?
In terms of anything, just in terms of your whole experience.
Well, in terms of research and ABI, I guess everyone is very friendly, so don't be afraid to ask for question or support, even if you think it's something maybe regarding New Zealand in general. If you think it's kind of a silly question, something you're wondering about New Zealand, just ask. They will always be happy to share and help you. And about the country is that the weather can change very quickly, and so you must be prepared for everything.
That's true. That's the advantage of being on an island in the South Pacific. The weather can change.
All right. So I want to talk a little bit about the diverse range of research that goes on at the ABI and some of our recent achievements that have been in the news. So we've had some success with funding to look at the causes and solutions for right heart failure. And this is a really good example of how JC, who you see in the photo there, is applying engineering principles of efficiency and work to look at the failure of the right heart and looking at strategies for solving that problem using these kind of engineering paradigms to analyze a biological problem. We've also been quite involved in research related to the long-term effects of vaping. And so this is an example where the research that we're doing in the lab and on our computers is leading to real-world effects in terms of social outcomes and helping to educate young people, especially, about the risks involved in vaping. The digital twin is really very emblematic of a lot of the research that the ABI does. And this is an example where we develop computational models of human physiology to solve medical problems. And so this is an example where the ABI research team has developed computational models of the circulation of newborn babies in order to understand some of the problems and look at the effects of different kinds of interventions. Our impact also goes into the commercial arena. A lot of the research that the ABI does has been translated into products and commercial outcomes. And so there's a news story about how one of the spin-off companies from the ABI has developed an implantable brain sensor that can be used to monitor the health of people who have increased pressure in the brain. And our final example is an example of really early stage work where we've got a team, and I was part of this team, that's developed some new technology to diagnose the health of cows. And so this is an example where you have an opportunity to take your research and enter it into a competition to then potentially translate it into a commercial outcome. And these are just a few of the examples of the wide variety of things we do.
And that translation into commercial outcomes is really important. And startup companies and spin-out companies, as Vino has already said, is really a big part of the DNA of the ABI. And over the years that we've been running, we've launched more than 20 startup companies, all based on research done within this institute. We have a really strong model for launching and nurturing and then growing startups. And we have, within this building in which we're presenting to you from today, we have a startup hub, or a hub for startup companies, where we support them during the early stages of their development. We call the startup hub Cloud9. You might have heard of some of these companies, or if not, you might like to have a look and see the things that they do. It's really cutting edge technology being applied into the medical field in different ways. There's three examples here. One of these being the company Elemetry, which looks at the health of your gut and digestive system. And they've been in place for quite a few years now, and really moving on strongly in that particular space. And then there's Junofem, and they have this really nice device for helping with pelvic floor muscle tone. And there's some really good developments there in terms of this product going internationally. And then, as Vino was talking a moment ago about pressure sensors in the brain and the positive impact that that's having in its current clinical trials. So these are just a few examples of a number of companies which have been highly successful. And these companies range from both software companies through into hardware and product companies. Many of these companies employ a lot of the graduates from the ABI as well. And so that makes for a very nice pathway for our graduate students. Now, we really want to encourage people who join us at the ABI to have more than just a study experience, but to have a holistic or a wider life experience. We like to think that we are a bit of a research family, and many of us have actually been involved with the work of the ABI now for many years. In fact, some of the people I work with, I actually studied with as well. And so that's a long-standing relationship. These relationships develop into friendships and support, which is really important when, as a graduate student, you're going through all the ups and downs of that study process. Like Mathilde mentioned before, there's some really good social and cultural activities. Now, Mathilde, you mentioned Christmas party, which is coming up in a few weeks' time for us, which is exciting. What are some of the other social and sort of cultural activities that you've enjoyed participating in?
So recently, I attended the ABI Pub Quiz, which was just around the corner. It was quite nice. I also really enjoyed this. We had a few events happening around the maternity celebration, which was the end of June, yes. Which is, well, if anyone doesn't know, like the Marie Brewer. I hope I'm not saying anything wrong. And yeah, we have, I could go on forever because there are a lot of them happening, and there is one that is more casual and more like frequent, which is Friday drinks, like Friday afternoon, which is kind of the entire institute get together and have a drink before heading into the weekend.
Yeah.
It's also quite nice.
And we certainly try and tag a lot of the big cultural and religious festivals, don't we?
Yeah.
And just looking at ways to make wherever you come from, to make you feel at home in this particular environment. So we've got some informal clubs and groups. In fact, I see that the gardening group is meeting next week, I think it is, to do a bit of gardening work out on our lovely deck space. We really value espresso coffee and coffee machines. And a lot of great ideas come from standing around having coffee together and talking about things. We have a massage chair for when you really get to the end of, as we say, the end of your tether. Some people say the end of your rope, and you need a bit of a break. Massage chair is available. Travel and networking is a huge part of who we are at the ABI. Sometimes that travel will be part of a conference, but then afterwards you get an opportunity to just expand your horizons and visit other parts of the world. And you know, all of the research, all of this time and spent at the ABI happens in the cosmopolitan city of Auckland, where we're surrounded by green spaces, beaches, hills, and forests. So, you know, if you love the great outdoors, it's a fantastic environment to come be in. The ABI is also a great launching pad for our graduates. We've mentioned some of the spin-out companies. Formus is one of those, where graduate students have found meaningful ways to make a contribution to society and in terms of their engineering skills. But also within New Zealand, we have large employers of biomedical students, including Fisher & Paykel Healthcare, and Rocket Lab as well. And then internationally, we have students who have gone and worked at NASA, places like Facebook, universities like the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and also Oxford University, just to name a couple. One of our alumni, in fact, is the Chief Technical Officer of Vicon, which is a global leader of motion capture systems for movies and games. So the world is your oyster, like we say, and the ABI certainly is a great launching pad for that. So how do you apply to study at the ABI? Pino, would you like to take us through that?
Sure. Yep. So you can take a look at some of the links on this page, and we will send these through to you later on as well. So you can start the application process online. And we have web pages on the ABI website where you can find out information about different supervisors, the research areas that they're working in. And most importantly, there is a web page that lists projects that are open for recruitment. We are always looking for talented, motivated students to come join us. A number of these projects have funding, or they have priority for scholarship funding. So please take a look at those, and that will give you more information on what's available currently. Now, at this stage, you may not know what kind of research project you want to work on. You may not have an idea about what supervisor you want to work with. So just start your application, which will let the admissions team at the university assess your prior study and work out if you are qualified for a master's or a PhD. And in the process of applying, you can specify our Associate Director Postgraduate, Kenneth Tran, as a potential supervisor. We will send that information through to you as well. And in terms of a research project, you don't need to have a detailed idea of what you want to do. You can list some areas of interest and then explore the possible opportunities and projects that you have in those areas. If you have any questions about the application process, you can contact our postgraduate committee. The email is listed on the page there. And of course, we are very happy to answer any questions you have after this webinar in the chat.
Thank you, Vinod. And so just to reiterate, we really want you to apply, even if you're not sure what specifically, please do apply, and please do complete or supply all of the required details. And then when you hit submit, it will go into the system and we'll be notified by that, and we can begin a dialogue with you on that. So on behalf of Mathilde and Vinod, thank you very much for joining with us today. We really appreciated having the opportunity to talk a little bit about the ABI and what you might look forward to as part of the study experience with us. Once again, please do reach out if you have questions to the email address for the ABI Postgraduate Committee. And now we'd like to take the opportunity just to answer any questions that you might have about study at the ABI. So please just type those into the chat, and we'll be able to answer and deal with those as they come up. Okay, so we do have a number of questions here. Thank you for those of you who are joining us. We see we have somebody joining from India. Great to have you online. So this is a good question. Can I work as a student? Yes, you can. So you have a student visa in New Zealand, and that allows you to work approximately 10 to 15 hours per week, I think, Vino. And so you can have paid employment during that time, and a lot of people do. That will help you cover costs. Sometimes that work might be within the university as part of a teaching assistant type role, or a research assistant, or it might be outside doing some part-time work in evenings and weekends. So that's a very good question. Do we have any other questions from any of the participants? Yeah. Yeah, Mohammed, would you like to just type your question into the chat? I see that you've got your hand up for us, and we can deal with that. Other questions that often come up are around how long the process to apply for visa is. So yes, you do need to take that into account, which is why we encourage you to get an application in as quickly as possible. So then we can get through all necessary paperwork, and if you need to apply for a visa to come to New Zealand as an international student, then you can get that process going as soon as possible. But typically you would need to allow approximately 3-4 months for visa process. Sometimes it can take a little bit longer than that. So please do get any applications in as quickly as possible. Particularly if you think that you might be part or might be eligible for the postgraduate certificate pathway into PhD. We only have one entry into that every year. That is March of each calendar year. So you do want to be organized and get things on the go as quickly as possible for that. So we have a question here. Am I able to come and visit the ABI and chat with people? Yes, we'd be more than happy to host you if you're able to drop by. The best idea is for you to email the ABI Postgraduate Committee, and we'll see about setting up a possible appointment for that. If you're having trouble getting in contact through that, you can always also contact the Bioengineering Institute front desk and organize once again a time. And if we do everything sort of through the ABI Postgraduate Committee, then Dr. Kenneth Tran, who is the Associate Director of Postgraduate work here at the ABI, can organize for the right people to meet with you. So we have a question from Mohammed. I'm currently nearing the completion of my Master's in Artificial Intelligence. Great. You need to undertake a 30-point research program, research ideas. Yes, so the best idea is if you're interested in bioengineering research, I'm gathering that the first half of 2025, you're looking for some potential research project ideas. Then have a look. My suggestion would be to go on to the ABI project website that we sent some links through to, and have a look around at what different research groups are doing. And if there's any there that you think would be an interesting component to a research project, then reach out to those groups. If you're having trouble making contact, then please do just email us through the ABI PG committee at auckland.ac.nz email address, and we can give you some pointers into areas that you might like to get into. And of course, we'd love to talk to you about the possibilities of perhaps joining us for PhD work if that's something that you think you would like to go on. So thank you very much for that question. Other questions that often come up include scholarships and financial support. So, would you like to make some comments around that, please?
Yes, so we have different mechanisms for scholarship support. There is the University of Auckland doctoral scholarships, and when you're applying for PhD study, one of the questions in the application form is if you want to be considered for a doctoral scholarship. So you can tick that box if you do wish to be considered. We also have projects that are funded through research grants. And on the ABI website list of projects, you can find projects that have their independent funding, and those typically will cover tuition fees and sometimes stipends as well. So those are different, I guess, means of support for postgraduate study, for masters and for PhD.
And once again, we encourage you to get in an application for PhD study. And then on the basis of that, we can certainly open discussions about funding opportunities that are available to you. Just remember, of course, that there are requirement entries in terms of grade point averages or grade point equivalency. And so do be aware of that. And if you have really strong results as a student within New Zealand, then you're much more likely to be eligible for scholarship and scholarship reports. So what sort of background, here's another question, what sort of background would I need as a student coming into the ABI? Well, I think a good way to tackle that is to ask you, Matilda, what sort of background did you have before you came into the ABI to do a PhD?
Yeah, so I did engineering school in France. So yeah, we kind of study all of the engineering subjects. But we don't go into anything in details, if that makes sense. So it's kind of a general background. And then I did do a master in biomedical engineering, where I went into more details into bioengineering. But, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe if you have like a science background, problem-solving skills, you can probably apply, and because you will feel like you know nothing when you start anyway, so you will just learn along the way. That's why you have supervisors and friends around to help you. But as long as you have I believe some scientific background, STEM subject, and you're just motivated and like to solve problems, or probably fine.
Yeah, well, that certainly sounds right. You have a foot both in the ABI and in the School of Engineering as part of engineering science and bioengineering. So you must have a really good sense of good backgrounds for students as they consider coming into postgraduate work.
Yes, so we have a very diverse range of backgrounds in the ABI. So engineering, any kind of engineering degree typically will be very good preparation for postgraduate study in bioengineering. But we also have many students who don't come with an engineering background. So typically anyone with some kind of a STEM subject, so a degree in science, physics, maths, will be quite well suited for bioengineering postgrad study. There are a number of projects that can use skills from those backgrounds. We've also had people come in with medical degrees. So we've had medical doctors come in and do postgraduate study in bioengineering. I've personally had students with an animal science background come and work on projects with me. So I think to put it short, any kind of a science background with an interest in bioengineering techniques and applications will be, you're more than welcome to come and talk to us and see if there's a positive project.
Yeah, and you've both hit on one of the key things about the ABI is that we have such a diversity of opportunities, including backgrounds of the supervisory staff, the academics who are involved in both research and supervision, that we accommodate students and backgrounds from so many different places. So that's a really powerful position to be in. And so whatever your background, if you could find a project that interests you and that you can demonstrate, some core capabilities in, then we definitely love to talk to you about that. Thank you, Mohammed, for raising that issue about email addresses. And we will definitely look into that and make sure that that is functioning the best possible way. There's certainly other email addresses associated with the ABI that in the interim you could try as well. So do check our webpage, abi.auckland.ac.nz, and you can find other potential ways to contact us if there are still issues with that email address. So are there any other questions that any of you might have? Well, once again, we do just encourage you to reach out if you do have any further questions. Do consider applying, and again, apply early so that we can get you into the system and we can begin a fruitful conversation with you. I do want to just wish you all the best in the studies that you're carrying out at the moment. And once again, we would love to see you asking questions and potentially joining us here at the ABI for Postgraduate Study. So all the best, and thank you again for joining us today on behalf of Vinod and behalf of Mathilde. We do hope that whatever stage of the day you're at, that you do enjoy the rest of it. And all the best for your future study and future choices. Thank you very much.